Here's the 338,000 mile 4.6 that was in the car. We're moving on to bigger and better things, more horsepower.
All right, you ready? You ready? You sure?
Yeah.
All right, hey, what's up, everybody? Landon with LMR.com. We've got William Joker Jones here. We call him Will Joe around the shop. This is his 1999 Cobra. He's had for several years at the time of this video. Rocked the 4-valve engine for quite a while. He recently installed or swapped a Gen 3 Coyote engine into his 99 Cobra, and that's what we're going to talk about in this video. He's going to kind of run through all the high points, kind of some of the things he had to shift to make something happen. Some of the things that may have thrown him a curveball, like every swap does. And of course, as we kind of progress through the end of the video, we'll take a look at some dyno results. I'm gonna step back. I'm gonna let Will Joe do most of the talking because his car, his money, his build, he did a heck of a job, by the way. This is amazing. It was fun to kind of be a part of it in some form or fashion, kind of through osmosis. Definitely fun stuff around here. So, all right, so that's a rundown of kind of what to expect in the video. So let's get rolling. All right, Will Joe, so what was step one before all this happened?
Step one was everything had to come out. Here's the 338,000 mile 4.6 that was in the car. Bittersweet seeing it come out, but this engine has been reliable. It's taken every bit of abuse that I've given it. This motor saw 3,000 to 7,000 RPMs on a regular basis, and it just took it beating after beating. I couldn't ask for a better engine. So bittersweet to see it come out, but we're moving on to bigger and better things with more horsepower. All right, everybody, here's my Gen 3 for my 99 Mustang Cobra. A little different setup. So powered by the hour, I went with the KRC setup because I wanted it to be more of a factory-ish style setup. If Ford would have installed this engine back in 99, how would it look? I didn't want the alternator turned backwards with the power by the hour kit. It's just not very appealing to me when looking at a swap. So I wanted to keep the alternator in the factory location. The KRC bracket is nice. You don't have to modify anything on the timing cover, unlike the power by the hour kit. Running a Moroso swap pan along with their pan stud kit. I'm still using the Gen 3 oil pump, so I had to use a aftermarket pickup tube, and I had to modify that pickup tube to work with this pan. I had to cut the baffle out the top, so it's essentially a high flow pickup tube now, and I had to tweak the bracket to give me enough clearance for the bottom of the pan pickup tube. Running boundary oil pump gears and groove crank sprocket, along with the Ford Performance GT 350 timing chains for an upgrade. They are thicker. There's an extra row of links, and there was a substantial difference, which led me to doing that kit. I'm running the Dorman aluminum T-fitting. I've had some buddies had the plastic one crack and break, and actually had a buddy spin out on track because his broke, left a oily mess on track. But this is it. We're keeping the direct injection. I also have a Gen 2 Cobra Jet intake that's going to be going on this engine, and I have an MMR pulse ring for the crank. I'm running a aluminum flywheel along with 11-inch power grip ram clutch. Haven't got that far yet, but we'll get that installed soon. I already have the 4.6 motor mounts installed, ready for this thing to drop in. I'm keeping the factory K member for the time being. This is it, Gen 3 Coyote. My goal was 500 to the tire. Don't know if I'll get there. I'll be happy with 480, but we'll see. This is Will signing off. Y'all be good. I'll check back in later. What's going on, everybody? We checking back in. We have got the engine bay painted. Had to remove some rust over here on this frame rail. More rust than I was expecting. Battery, I guess, leaked out. Seemed to be the leading cause. Had a little rust forming back over here in this back corner. My assumption is from maybe brake clean getting spilled at some point in the car's life. But we're all back nice and glossy and shiny like Ford did. It's not perfect, but it's perfectly imperfect. We got fuel lines, evap lines that were all sitting up here, but evap and stock fuel lines have been removed because we're running dedicated supply and return lines. Fuel line was a pain to get out with the IRS. So that's all done. Tank is out and we're rocking. And we're just gonna keep on chugging along. We'll check back in later. All right guys, we got another quick update on here. This is what I'm doing. I got my supply, my return, drilled a hole in the hat. Got my return line running. So we're gonna get this thing set up and put in. I'll get this new pump in the tank and then start working on installing lines. As you can see, no K-member in the car now. We got that done, but I swear there's K-member. Gotta do some testing. I'm gonna keep the stock K-member with this swap just because most of my money went going toward the motor and doing all that. So you gotta decide what you want to do. You want suspension or you want more power. But there it is. We're gonna be running BBK long tubes. I've already kind of mocked both sides up to make sure they weren't gonna hit the oil pan. Shout out Jordan for helping me with that. Appreciate you, homie. But yeah, we'll get the, we're gonna get those. I gotta find my gaskets. So I'm not gonna use the BBK gaskets. I'm gonna use Fords. Mock everything up. Set the K-member up underneath the engine and see what has to be trimmed, if anything has to be trimmed. To pair up with the BBK long tubes, I sourced somebody that had a BBK off-road X-pipe on Marketplace. So that's gonna be going up against those. And then I have a set of Bassani exhaust axle backs that are gonna get the tips cut off, and we're gonna run those mufflers. They're from 11 to 14 3-inch exhaust, and then the exhaust is gonna be coming out the side like a 2000 Cobra R. So it all sounds pretty good. Hoping so anyway. I also did get the engine fully dressed. We got the KRC pump, AC compressors on, alternator, all the belts, so we're good there. We'll get these headers bolted up, see what that's about, and get the K-member up there and see if anything is gonna have to be clearanced. That's where we're at now. I'll check back in once I get everything mocked up and we're good to proceed forward. Headers have been clearanced. K-members have been clearanced. And the K-member, I grinded, smoothed out all this, slapped some E-coat on it. The same thing over here, had to grind out, smooth out them welds. And I did a little bit right here for the oil pan. Some washers underneath the motor mounts for the K-member. We had to massage a little section here. And massage a little section over here. We got the MMR ring installed, Ram aluminum flywheel installed, Ram power grip clutch installed. Engine's off an engine stand, as you can see. It's just kind of mocked up on this table. Get the transmission up here, slide it up, bolt it up. After that, put the long tubes on, and then lift it up, get the K-member under it, bolt the K-member up, set it back down on the table. We'll lift the car up and set her down on top. I guess come on down a little bit. I think we're.
You know what? Right there for a second, because what's happening is we're getting ready to hit the transmission mount. Well, that's one side, good. Oh, here's the other side.
All right, everyone. Well, we got the engine in. intake manifolds on, mocked up, testing cold air intake tubes, and an abundance of wiring. So the goals for today are to maybe try to get this fuel system sorted, get the front suspension back in it, transmission harness, got that modified, so we'll be getting all that worked up. Finding out that there's a lot to be done in this swap, as far as if you try to pull the motor, pull everything out that needs to come out, put everything in that needs to go in. I'm feeling it. It's definitely a task. Got all this wiring needs to be done. Alternator's got to get wired up. May have to move some things around, but we're gonna put in work today. All right, people. For anybody trying to be like me and do a swap with long tubes and the stock K member and a swap pan, there's an issue. Power steering bolt. Here's the bolt hole right there, and the pan. Here's your super long bolt, and you run into interference. So make sure you got your power steering bolts in before you get this far. So I'm going to try to remove the sleeve and see if that will give me enough wiggle room to get in there and squeeze this bolt by. If it don't, I'm going to have to hang the motor and drop the K member ever so slightly to at least get that bolt in. So we're going to try plan A and see how that works out for us. Alright, got the sleeve removed, but I can't get the bolt over enough because of the pan. Driver's side bolt goes in just fine. It's in, it's sitting right there. Instead of dropping the control arms, taking the springs out, I think what I'm gonna do, because I've already modified this K member, so drilling an extra hole or two is not gonna hurt at all. I'm going to bolt where the sway bar link goes and run a chain here so the spring won't come out. Drop the K member ever so slightly to get that bolt in. And I'll do that on both sides. I'll drill a hole over here with using that sway bar link hole, run a chain so this stays compressed and I ain't gotta worry about it flying out. But that's where we're at. So a few steps forward, a few steps back, and we're getting there. We got that bolt in, took the motor mounts loose, jacked it up, was able to finagle that bolt in. Then we ran into an issue with the rack hitting the pan. So installed some washers up here on the motor mount, right there, to give some clearance. And now we're clearing the rack. We got KRC power steering lines ran. Got the AC plugged up. We got our old pressure sensor adapter plugged in. We got the old cooler sandwich plate on. And we're rocking and rolling. Still got to finish hooking up the power steering lines. We got our upper hose on. A lot accomplished. I got the wiring harness routed into the engine, or to the cabin now. Still got to finish out the fuel system. The regulator was hitting the hood, so we're gonna have to move that slightly. But got some better pan clearance right here. O2 extenders. We're making progress. Progress is being made. Not gonna have this thing started up as soon as I hoped, but it will be right. We'll get started tomorrow and check in once we get some work done. Hopefully get the power steering hooked back up. I gotta get my modified trans harness in, along with the O2 sensors plugged up to the control pack trans harness. I believe that's it. It's a lot. It's a lot. Rome wasn't built in a day. All right, upper radiator hose was hitting the KRC pulley, so my good friend Scott Hubbard made this belt chain guard out of some stuff he had laying around. Cover up that so we don't rub a hole in the upper radiator hose. Got our little barb fitting installed for the degas bottle. And currently working on a degas bottle mounting bracket. It's gonna come off these two holes. It's gonna come down and then come out about right here. Degas bottle is gonna cover up the AC access port, but that's okay. Hopefully shouldn't have to service it. Looking at possibly incorporating this bracket to incorporate the radiator hold down. So making templates out of cardboard, trying to get everything sorted. Also trying to figure out where to put our fuel pressure regulator, where that's going to get mounted so we can try to finalize the fuel system. I got to finish putting in the power steering lines. We got a rat nest of wires sitting up here, but a lot of this is from the modified engine harness. But we're getting it figured out. Alternator fuse box right here. Power wire, starter wire. Alternator loops back, comes up. The other end's in the fender well. Control pack fuse box mounted right here, using some existing holes here, and on the other side I had to put a fat washer right there, using that hole and the slotted hole. Oh, right there. That's where the other bolt hole is. Trying to keep wiring clean and tucked away. We are getting there, getting somewhere at least. So fuse box wiring comes out, comes up past here and enters that grommet right there. Then goes to the full bore. That's where the accelerator pedal wire goes in. Gen 3 PCM is just so much larger than a Gen 1. So it's probably just going to end up sitting right here in this little panel, and I'm going to cover it with this piece that came on the Ram Air JLT cold air kit. Nice little PCM cover. That's where we're currently at. Once we get a bracket all sorted and finalized, I'll check back in and show that off. But we're making some headway now. We got a degas bottle. It's a 11 to 14 style degas bottle, kind of a one-off custom deal. Got the bracket using the factory holes here, come down, it's holding down the radiator, and then the degas bottle. O2 sensor harness, transmission harness for the control pack. It's been ran and those are plugged in. Working on some good old wiring down here. Let me get a light on. Some good old wiring going on. Power steering lines are pretty well ran. AC stuff is all hooked up and accounted for. There we got our old temp sensor, and right below that, right here's our coolant temp. Those are going to be ran off gauge pods. Got the sandwich plate going for the oil cooler. Still got to get some fittings and run lines and get the oil cooler mounted and situated. Power steering lines are almost all the way hooked up. And the harness with the OBD2 connector. On a Gen 3, that's where your accelerator pedal connector is. They don't give you much room. I don't know if you'll be able to see any of this. Oh, my light died. Well, okay, picking up where we left off was the accelerator pedal wire. I have snaked it through the pedal assembly to where it's not going to get pinched. So we're good there. Yesterday, and I see a connector I didn't plug in. Alright, all better now. So this is currently day 17 and 110 hours on a 5-day swap. We got these connectors that aren't being used taped up. Dad link connector still has to get mounted. Clutch is fully installed and we have operation. Intake manifold is officially fully bolted on. Coolant system is officially all on and bolted down. A lot of wiring has been tied up. We relocated the engine harness into the fender just to create more room. I believe that area is where we're going to mount the fuel pressure regulator. Cleaned up all this, got stuff zip tied out the way. Rack and everything's bolted up. We're about to do fan wiring. Exhaust system is there. Still got to install the X-pipe, drive shafts in, steering shafts bolted up. Still got to hook up this and finish out the power steering cooler. We're making headway. Still got to do the fuel system, fuel wiring, fan wiring, oil cooler install. So we're getting closer. Okay, here we are. This is a couple days later from last check-in, day 19. We got the oil cooler is installed. Remote oil filter housing and oil cooler. If you notice, something is no longer on the ground back here because it's now in the car. So to make this fit, because we were running into clearance issues, double layer pad, got some spacers, hooks on the straps, connections right here. Everything's hooked up. Relocated the fuel filter. It's gonna live somewhere up here once I get a bracket figured out. And then still have to finalize the line routing and get that situated, going in there and clean up this wiring underneath this fender. Got the coolant temp sensor, oil pressure sender, and all that's finalized, taken care of. Power steering hoses are all plumbed and on there for the KRC. Rocking the factory power steering cooler. May upgrade later on down the road, but as for right now, I'm just trying to get this swap done. A lot of stuff's happened. So we're getting fuel system finalized probably after lunch. I gotta get fuel wiring finalized and get the gauge pods installed. We're making headway though. But when you really want to do something, somehow, some way, you find a way to make it all work. You just really gotta want it. This car is showing to be a testament to that. How bad do you want it? But yeah, I think that's where we're at. We're gonna finalize some wiring. Coolant fans are all wired up. I take the cold air intake back off to finalize some of that. But we are here and we're doing it. One's gonna be tuning the car. I've been in contact with them for the past couple days, shooting emails off, so hopefully we get that done and over with. Still gotta make a shroud for the filter, keep the fan from blowing turbulent air in that and causing mass airflow wonkiness, but still some more to do. Hopefully soon we'll have this thing fired up and it will be glorious. Anyway, that's it for now.
What's gonna happen?
I don't know.
How long you got the X pipe hooked up?
Yeah.
And how long you gonna let it run? Oh, it didn't start. I thought it was gonna start. Oil pressure, fuel pressure.
Yeah, fuel pressure.
So, oh hey, okay. So literally, do we need the tune? Is it already flooding it out? Thing is, it's not going to run worth the crap if it does fire off. We need to kill it so we don't flood it out or something.
You got oil pressure? Yeah, it had oil pressure. It had 100 oil pressure. It went. Ah, damn. Shit.
Sweet.
All right, everyone. There's an update. Car's together. Had some slight hiccups and issues. For anybody that's wondering, a twin 65 throttle body will not communicate with a Gen 3 up control pack. If you do want that to work, you have to get a jumper harness. The one I sourced was from JMS Throttle Max. A little module that converts the analog signal to digital and then vice versa. So you can get a pedal response. So now that that is active and working, I have pedal position I did go and drive the car last Friday. Today is Monday, August 11th. But that was one thing I was having issues with. I couldn't get a throttle position percentage out of this thing. Board racing gauges. So I got my Lund tune key on. You cannot use the jumper harness that comes with the Cobra Jet intake. You have to source a different one, or you get a VMP throttle body. Granted, that is $1,000 throttle body, and I picked up the Twin 65 off eBay for really cheap. So the Throttle Max was my my best bet. This right here is my pedal position, and it should, bam, read. As of what's next, exhaust. Got to figure out a muffler situation because this thing is just ungodly loud coming right off the X-Pipe. So that, and then data logging. I may go holler at a local muffler shop. I got some mufflers that I picked up off Marketplace and see if they can make those work. And then I'd like to come out the side and do a side exit. Exhaust like a 2000R. Come out right there. She cranks up and she runs. I would crank it up and start it, but we still got people here that are trying to get work done. So just want to tune in, give y'all an update. Trying to be patient as far as anybody that's done this much of a process on any kind of swap. I'm sure y'all understand how hard it is to reframe from just wanting to go. So I'm still trying to keep it done right. Sure does look good sitting in this engine bay though with the Cobra Jet intake. Here's your modern 2000 Cobra R. But that's it for now. We'll tune in another one. Y'all take it easy.
All right, so the Coyote was finished. You had your exhaust absolutely dialed in. It was the way you wanted it, side exit, the whole 9 yards. But tell us what happened with that.
Unfortunately, went to go show the car off to a buddy. Ended up falling off in a rut, and the passenger exhaust just got mangled. Had to go back to the drawing board. Ended up putting the Bassani 3-inch catback on for IRS, and that solved all those issues. Data logging was done with Lund. They did a phenomenal job as far as tuning, I think. The car runs like a scalding heat. Just fun to drive.
It sounds radical too, even with the exhaust that Will Joe technically didn't want on there. He wanted his side exit, and he had it. And I think you're gonna come back to it eventually.
Eventually I'll come back to it. I don't know, something about the Sony mufflers that were on the 11 to 14 axle back kit is what I had on there with it, and it just sang a loud as hell. It's pretty right.
That's the Will Joe way, loud as hell. All right, so I think with any swap like this, we always want to see power and torque comparisons. I printed our dyno sheets off just because in a move here, so we don't have our traditional dyno cart and TV. But the 4-valve with 338,000 miles made 291.2 horsepower at 6,100 RPM, and then 290.4 pound-feet of torque at 4,400 RPM. end, before we get into the results of your new setup, what was your original number? What did you want to hit at the tires?
My number at the tires, my goal was as close to 500 as I could get.
Okay.
Torque was just kind of up in the air, but 500 was my goal.
And he got close. We got a little bit of your reaction, but the car with some pretty good fuel. You had E85 in it, but I think you tested it at
E90.
E90. Man, this thing's stout. 478.4 horsepower at 6,600 RPM, and then 414.2 pound-feet of torque at 4,500 RPM, which you and I were actually talking about there right after we dynoed it. Pretty sure this Coyote with the most rear-wheel torque out of all the Coyotes we naturally aspirated that we've ever dynoed. I'm pretty sure. So yeah, and horsepower. Yeah, I can't leave that out. He is now the Coyote naturally aspirated king on the LMR dyno with 478 horse and 414 pound-feet of torque. But more impressively, we like to nerd out over this stuff. For those of you wondering, if we lay the graphs over each other, peak gains were 187.2 horsepower, 123.8 pound-feet of torque, and then more impressively were the curve gains. Of course, this is happening kind of around the 6,800 mark like it's naturally supposed to, where the 4-valve falls off. Curve gains were 226.1 horsepower and 174.7 pound-feet of torque. So pretty dang impressive, to say the least. Yeah, I think it's great. I'm excited for you and proud of you as well, because man, it happened pretty quick too. I think y'all got this done, probably about 4 weeks, give or take, even with all the kind of hiccups y'all ran across?
Pulling the motor out to getting the Coyote first start was 120 hours.
So 120 hours, and about, give or take, 2 people off and on. I mean, you obviously put in 100% of those hours, but you know, Hubbard
gave me a hand with some of the wiring stuff on it, helping clearance for the headers, because I did run long tubes. I mean, that was some work. Appreciate that help.
What was your most memorable out of doing this?
Oh, it's satisfaction of hearing it run.
Yeah, I think so
I
too.
think that's the majority of people's answer on that.
Yeah, I like kind of your custom Will Joe-ish stuff. You know, I think in every project and every build that people do, you know, we find ourselves doing our own little custom touches. So I've always liked what you've done with your stuff. Kind of like the oil cooler setup that you did. I think that's great. Your distribution block, whenever you relocated your battery, all that cool stuff. Because I mean, at the end of the day, I think that's what this is all about. You know, it's your car, it's your money, it's your goal, it's your vision. You know, this is definitely Will Joe's masterpiece. So another question: what was the most difficult thing that you ran across with this one?
That's a tough one.
By osmosis, if I was to give you the third party perspective, I think your throttle body debacle. You know, it's something so simple, but almost like it shouldn't have happened. But it took enough time almost to say, why is this even a thing?
Which we learned. We learned that Gen 1, Gen 2 use analog signals to run the throttle body, and Gen 3 they swapped to a digital signal. I did get the 4-point throttle body on the deal on eBay, so that's the route I went with Cobra Jet, and found out that you have to have a converter to run that. I had to spend extra time to source that. I think JMS was the route I went with. After that, I got pedal signal and everything was working good, and could finish out the tuning.
Sweet. The more we know by doing this stuff. And then I wouldn't necessarily call this the icing on the cake, but it might as well be. How long did your T45 last?
Not long, 2 weeks, give or take. I was hoping that was gonna last longer. I think spirited driving, new RPM range and power, so.
Yeah, because that poor T45, I don't think it knew anything past 6,700 RPM, 6,800 RPM.
It's kissed 7 grand with the 4-valve in it a few times, but it was, you know, try to keep it away from that.
Yeah. And then what did you end up going with?
I ended up catching a deal on a T56 out of an 03 Cobra with 53,000. So that's what's in here now. Stock input shaft, came with the aluminum drive shaft, so I got that now.
It was almost meant to be. That was almost the destiny for the car. I think
it couldn't have happened at a better opportune time.
Yeah.
So. Do we need to do another dive?
Oh yeah, that would be cool. I wonder if there's any power on the table. It's probably marginal, but you know, we don't know till we try it. Of T56 to T45, maybe that's something we can do. Let us know in the comments down below if that's something y'all want to see us tinker with. But Will Joe, you want to leave any final remarks before we sign off? If somebody's looking at possibly doing this to their car,
Even when you think you have everything, put a few grand back. Because you will need it. Also, huge shout out to my wife for putting up with me and all of this. None of this would have been possible if I didn't have her help. Thank you, babe.
Heck yeah. That's awesome. Well, appreciate your time, Will Joe. Thanks for letting us kind of document this all on the way. Kind of talking to Will Joe off camera, you know, this is more or less kind of one of the radical setups, I guess you could say, in a naturally aspirated Coyote that I've personally, you know, been a part of through osmosis here at LMR. But Will Joe did a heck of a job. I really like this car. He's definitely catered it to the way he wants it, which is the way it should be. He's going to get it out to a ton of HPDE events here over the next year in the future. And where it makes sense, you know, we'll drag the cameras along and, you know, maybe get a track day of Will Joe at one of these events. So thanks again, Will Joe. We're gonna sign off, everybody. Let us know in the comments what you think. As always, if you find value in what we're doing, please consider liking the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Until we see you in the next one for all things Coyote Swap New Edge. Keep it right here with the real enthusiasts, LMR.com.